Hey everybody!
Hi!
Happy New Year!
How was your New Year's Eve? All your responses floating in across the energy waves.
I know.
Awesome. Yeah.
Mine was very interesting, actually.
Yeah, I got the pictures. So was mine. It was very, I saw this post on Facebook and somebody said, I forgot to make New Year's Eve significant. Wait a second. I think I can find some cookies. I was like, yeah, that's totally what I did too.
We're in the land of like full-on significance, and we actually, it was funny because we were so happy when we got out of the land of full-on significance. This touristy, interesting. My whole world changed when we went to the little Thai food truck on the north shore of Oahu and started like dancing on the street and eating Thai food outside. I was like, oh good.
Awesome.
New Year's is not significant anymore. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, you know what? It's really quiet. There was all this energy out and about. Like there was fireworks going on. I could kind of hear them, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna create. So I got onto my business page and started making memes, and like it was awesome. It was a really awesome, quiet night of creation. So yeah. So what are we talking about today, girl? Targets what? Tell me. Go.
I'm Heather Nichols, and this is Christel Crawford. I mean, you can see our names and all, so thanks for joining us. So Christel's in Seattle, and she's actually at one of my places that I call home, my man's house in Seattle, and I'm
gorgeous.
Hi, you guys want to see the beach? Here's some beach love for you.
Oh my God.
Yay. So, what can we create? What would it take for 2015 to be just the most phenomenal year so far? And what else is possible?
Yeah. I don't know. You and I were talking earlier, so it's funny because I kind of feel like we've started this conversation already. But and probably when did we start it? Like 2 weeks ago.
Like 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true. Oh my God. Because it just seems like every year that I'm alive, the more years that I'm alive, the more demand I want to be for what I know is actually possible. You know, and it's like the more awareness I get and the more I see and the more I perceive and the more I create, the more I'm like, yeah, more. It's like this insatiable requirement for more.
Totally. And amazing to me is that for so many years I made that so wrong about me that I just always wanted more, and it's really cool to just so for those of you who aren't familiar with access consciousness, that's a lot of kind of what is informing our conversation here today. And Christel and I are both facilitators of access consciousness, and which is just a super amazing body of work that has it's even weird to call it a body of work because it's not even that, but it's a possibility that is like has never existed really. That's changed my life, and I mean, in 20 years of doing everything personal growth, personal, professionally, I've never seen anything that changes lives, my life, everybody else's lives around me as fast and as fun and as quickly and as powerfully as this work does. And one of the great invitations is to acknowledge that, you know, we really do, like, so many of us actually require really fast change and more, and we have this hunger for more, and that it's been made so wrong in this reality of like, well, you shouldn't want more and you can't want more, and it's wrong if you want more and just be happy with what you have and blah, 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 blah. And when I really received the invitation of like, what if me wanting more and desiring more and creating more and the 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 hunger and the desire and all of that is a total greatness.
Yeah, it was funny.
Like,
yeah, I was sitting in Starbucks today, and I've really been noticing and becoming more aware of the difference that I am, the difference that I be, and this hunger for more is a difference. There's so many people that are just, you know, that don't, and it's funny because like I spent 10 years of my life, you know, really slowing myself down and trying to be like everybody else, like dynamically, while hungering for more, while always getting lost in the bookstore in the self-help section, while, going to see my nutritionist because there's got to be more, but I'll just keep that under wraps because, that's not the popular thing. And I'm finding it is a strongness, and it is the difference that kind of changes everything. Because one of the things I'm noticing is that as a person who wants more, and as a person who's always looking to create more and be more and all of that, it creates something. It creates things, like it creates hangouts and telecalls and all of that, but it creates possibilities. It creates energetic possibilities on the planet that couldn't have been accessed or available to anybody had I not actually chosen to be the more and more and more that I actually be.
Yeah.
And that's really and that's really kind of sticking out to me a lot. And for those of you, I mean, we this isn't there's so much of a conversation around what that is, what choice actually creates and what possibilities actually are and how you perceive them, and is any of that even relevant, or is, choosing to create your life more about, using some really, really basic tools that then create way beyond what we've even acknowledged. Out into the, like...
Yeah. It's so cool. I'm like so aware right now of like just everything, like even this conversation, like everything that it's creating, and the energies that are like so much bigger than the words. And and I can see the ocean, which is always to me like this amazing like vastness of the unknown, like the dark depths of the ocean, and it's just like, oh my God, there is just so much more to everything than we're even aware of, and to our choices, and to what we can create, and to possibilities. And it's like, I'm just a lot of space right now. I'm like, ooh. We went to this, Christel knows this, but we went to this really interesting luau last night, which was just kind of a family thing that we did, and very, very great practice of being allowance and vulnerability and awareness, and using the tools that I have. And we saw this, as part of it, we saw this, there was this amazing movie that we watched that was this like 15-minute footage of like some of the most gorgeous scenery that I've ever actually seen on planet Earth, in Hawaii, in this aerial camera. And anyway, it was just this total sensory experience, and it was like I was just able to tap into, like, here I was in this place where there was like, it was like tourist hell basically. Just like a lot of unconsciousness, and just this, like, just being able to tap into like what nature creates, and what we, like, as soon, because for me it's like as soon as I connect with nature, which is I'm so aware of right now because I'm so here, like it's in my environment, it's like I can become so much more space and perceive so many more possibilities. And it really just, like, even just sitting in this dark movie theater and watching this footage was like, my whole body just went, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Molecular communion with the earth, communion with the quantum entanglements, which is, just these amazing energies in the universe that create magic with us and on our behalf. And it was so timely, and like just felt so much a part of this conversation of like, what if we're not alone, and what if the universe is always willing to create with us, and what if it was actually just this quest for more, this desire for more, this creating more? What if it was actually just really about, not only being willing to ask for more and to start to demand like even more greatness on our behalf, but also to really start to receive in ways that we never have before, and to just like open up to the miracles and the magic of nature and the universe and all of the molecules around us that are always actually here to contribute to us if we're willing to receive. And I know we're going to talk about targets today, and that it was a huge piece for me of like what else is possible with even like whatever targets I'm going to play with for 2015.
Yeah, I'm really glad you talked about receiving, because that's something for me that's been really up. And if for anybody who's watching who's in Access Consciousness, Gary talks a lot about receiving. Gary Douglas, the founder, and saying that really receiving is the key. And it's funny because I'm a year in and I've been oh yeah, get it. It's like I'm looking at 2015 and I'm like, that is one of my big targets, like to be able to receive. And I was laying in bed the other night, 2 nights ago, and I was listening to Dane Heer's ESC. And for those of you who haven't checked that out on YouTube, he has a 10-minute energetic synthesis of communion on YouTube. And it does the same thing, Heather. It's got all this beautiful footage, and it's like the minute I saw the footage, every molecule in my body went. And then I listened to his ESC late last night, just as I was going to bed, and every molecule went that again. And I was like, and as you were talking, I'm like, how much more ease is this more than I've ever been willing to receive before? Like, what if it really is about the ease of receiving and not necessarily about the quest for more?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Everything that has us questing and working and solving problems and, going it alone.
Yes. Changing the world.
We're destroying a great. Right, wrong, middle name, pop culture, boys and guns. If you don't know what I just said, it's I always joke that it's Japanese for fuck that shit. It actually isn't. No, it's just a
It's
bunch
a
of
clearing
words.
statement. It's like a magic wand. It just deletes stuff.
So you don't have to know what it is. It works. It's magic. It's speaking of receiving and ease.
Oh,
it's like
man.
one of the greatest tools in Access Consciousness that can actually allow you to let go of a lot of stuff really fast that you don't even know what it is, and it doesn't matter what it is. You can just clear it. So that's one of the reasons why this work is so powerful, is that clearing statement. Wow, we've, over the past however many years that Access has been around, we've cleared like just tons and tons and tons and tons of collective limitation that's been created over the past 4 trillion years. So anyway,
don't play with it.
Don't play with it.
That'd be crazy. Wow. Yeah. So
what are your targets, Christel? Well, okay, there's like 8 million different directions we could go right now. Let's talk about targets in general, and then I want to know what yours are.
Okay, well, I want you to tell me first, like, you've really been playing with targets for longer than I have, and I'd really like to know for you, like, what that process is like, when you're at the beginning of a year. What questions are you asking yourself, and you're looking at the energy, and so what are you doing when you're looking at the energy, and how are you putting words to it, and what is that for you? Can you talk about that?
Yes. Yeah, like the whole New Year's resolution thing to me was always sort of like, okay, that doesn't actually work for anybody, and I'm not really interested. Like, to me, it always felt like, and I get it that probably most people that are listening aren't really doing that, but just to speak to that piece, because there's something that's been sort of bastardized with that I was aware of. That was just the sense of like, okay, well, if I make a resolution, it's like something that I'm imposing upon myself, like a rigid, structure or something that I'm imposing upon myself, and it requires judgment to maintain and to, whatever.
Yeah, like a diet or a diet.
For most people, those two are like one and the same.
Yeah. Resolution equals diet, right?
Yeah, exactly. Of something. Like, there's something wrong about me that I need to change,
Absolutely, yeah,
and
totally.
It's like if you have any connection to Access Consciousness, you know that this work is it's actually really about getting out of the wrongness of you and seeing the greatness of you, which a lot of sort of personal growth programs or whatever are actually developed around the wrongness of you and getting over that in some way. So anyway, so I always sort of was like, yeah, no, and I don't really do the resolution thing, but I was also aware of this possibility that was like, okay, it's a new year, and that feels exciting to me. It feels like, wow, okay, there's this sort of blank slate, of creation. It really was about creation. There's this blank slate of creation sort of in front of me, even though time isn't quite totally real, but and or that I'm just aware of, like there's a possibility here for me to create something if I choose, and that's always true. Like you could choose to do that on February 27th. It doesn't matter when, but it was kind of a fun way for me to just start playing with, okay, well, what can I create? Because I love to create. And so 2 years ago, so it was 2013, I guess, was the first year I was like, I'm going to have some targets for the year. I'm going to play with some targets for the year. And I did, and for me it was like 3 areas of my life that I wanted to change. One of them was money, one of them was my body, and one of them was parenting. And those were all sort of areas that I was just aware that I could have a lot more ease in, and I was ready to actually make a demand and make different choices and create different possibilities, because I had had a lot of pain in my body, and I had been sort of like working I've had my own business for many years, but it was like I had been kind of trying to get to that next level, so to speak, for a long time financially, and I was just feeling sort of like, like I wasn't quite getting where I wanted to be, and I wasn't having as much fun as a mom as I knew I could, and so I just made the demand that was the year that those 3 areas of my life changed dynamically. And it was really cool because it wasn't like a specific like statement or intention or anything. It was just like these 3 areas will be dynamically different at the end of this year and even before then. And they started to change right away. And what was so cool about it is that the whole year I got to really I just got to refer back to those targets, and it was sort of this, there was these sort of guiding energies of my year that everything that I created, everything that I chose, I could sort of look back and say, does this match my targets for the year? And I would always sort of be like, and are they still current, right? Because they can change too.
Sure. Yeah.
But they were broad enough, and I really, by the end of 2013, like all of it had changed so dynamically. And it wasn't, and there was a lot of classes that I took, and like I invested a lot actually. Like I took all the body classes in Access, and I did a lot of money, like I took a bunch of money classes, and I did a lot of business coaching, and I took some parenting classes, and I just started to, it wasn't just the classes, it was also just making different choices, but it changed really dynamically. So I did it again last year, and last year it was more sort of, I asked for my life to be unrecognizably phenomenal by the end of 2014, and that was a really fun energy. and it actually is, and what I was aware of yesterday and sort of like looking back on the year, it was like, wow, cool, like I really created that. And because I wouldn't, like there's so much that's changed that I never ever would have even imagined would have changed. But I kept kind of going back to that energy, and I really got the energy of it. And what I was aware of yesterday is like, it was like that target kind of showed up and was like, hey, there's still some places here. I mean, we can always have more of that, right? But it was like there's still some places and spaces here where you could be choosing more. And I really got yesterday, like, wow. I mean, this whole new level of vulnerability with me, and what I have been choosing, what I haven't been choosing, what I'm, what I could step into more of, that just really changed, like, is informing what I'm creating for 2015. So I am doing something right now. An hour. Half an hour. 40 minutes.
You gotta love when daily life interrupts creation.
That would be, yeah, one of my awesome kids who I have way more fun with now than I did 2 years ago because of these targets. So,
yeah, cool.
So I would say, I mean, just like the big piece there is really getting the energy of it. It's like, what is it? What have you not been willing to choose for you? That if you were willing to choose, it would change everything. And are you willing to like actually just create a target and get the energy of it? Like, so you don't have to know what it is, how you're going to get there. You know, make it something that's really sort of broad and like something that you could really play with, that you're really ready to change, that you maybe haven't. And that's what's so cool about it, is you don't have to know how at all. If you think you do know how, you actually don't. Because nothing is like we think it's going to.
So can we destroy and uncreate all the decisions and judgments and conclusions and computations that we have that are out there about setting targets and how they're going to show up, and feeling like we need to control that?
Yes.
Right, we're Good Red Podpoc, All Nine Shorts, Boys and Beyonds. Yeah, I thank you for that. That, you know, and I'm looking at, I've really started playing with targets, I think, probably since meeting you, and really playing in the generative business pods that we've got going on. And I mean, it's changed everything for me. And I've been playing with it, I think the areas for me that required the most awareness were like relationship, whether that was with, you know, my partner or in family, or and business and kind of life. You know, those three small areas. And I don't know, in the past few days, I'm looking at the demand that I'm willing to be. Like I'm kind of looking at the choice that I'm, you know, willing to be. And I think for me, what's really coming up, and it goes back to what we said earlier, but it's like it's the choice for ease, the ease of receiving, and the ease of living, and the ease of relationship, and the ease of everything, which requires receiving.
Yeah.
And you and I talk a lot about intimacy. You talk a lot about the 5 elements of intimacy, and you know, the gratitude, the honoring, the vulnerability, the thank you. What would it take for me to remember those? But I mean, I'm really looking at that, and I'm starting to get that, like, that's what I actually require with me to be able to create as me, to be able to choose as me, to be able to be me, is all of that intimacy with me. Yeah. And for so long I've been like, yeah, intimacy with me, okay, fine. And finally, this last month, I'm like, right, that's the fucking key.
Totally.
And that is one of my targets this year. And you know, is just really, it's like diving into the deep end of what that is. You know, what is it to have total gratitude for me? Yeah. What is it to totally honor me? What is it to totally trust me? Trust my knowing. Trust that I know. Trust that is what it is. What is that? Yeah. I'm having that, and I'm really like done with like being the crusader. Like, what would it take to turn this, you know, this for more into for ease, you know, and into the questions and the choices that would create that on the planet.
Totally.
And I really get, for me, like, a lot of my targets don't have words. They're a lot of energy. They're a lot of like.
Yeah, exactly. Jaden, I am in the middle of something, honey. I'm out here on the patio because it's a total disaster in there, and I didn't want you guys to have to see. I'm like on the balcony from my parents' place. Nice. They're like, "Mom, I need you." Yeah. So,
yeah. So like when targets are just a lot of energy, because I'm getting that a lot of people have the energy of it. It's like, it's this.
Yeah.
Cool. Now what?
Yeah. Right. And then it's like, when what's so amazing about this work of Access is that it's like, I always have to remind myself that, like, I don't have to know. All I have to do is be willing to ask the question. And the question can even be, what question can I ask to expand this energy? You know, or even what energy, space, and consciousness can I be to expand this energy and to have and be and create more of this, you know, receive more of it. Like, people ask me all the time, like, how do I ask questions and blah, and it's like, you don't just ask, just be curious. Questions are just about being curious, and it's like, once you have an energy that you're perceiving, even if you don't have words for it, just be like, that, I'll have more of that, you know? It's that easy.
And so what do you talk to me about, like, what do you do when you start to get frustrated that that isn't showing up? Or maybe, and you know, so even just asking that question, I'm like, sometimes I'm aware of that the frustration that I start to feel about that not showing up is a decision or a conclusion that I've made about how it's going to show up. And I'm starting to look at that. So can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, you know, okay, cool, I've got this energy and I'm following this energy, and right in this 10 seconds it's really dynamic and really potent, and it's like, it's invigorating, and I'm enthusiastic for everything that this is, and now what can we create? And create something, and then this, well, that didn't do what I thought it was going to do.
Right. Okay, I'm being bugged again. Hold on. What do you need? Okay, we will deal with it when I get off, honey, okay? I'm in the middle of something. Can you keep him? I'm in the middle of a presentation here.
So a great question for this would be, what contribution can this be?
You guys are gonna, yeah. Here's my dirty house. My kids can't see me.
Yeah, because I just get that there's a lot of us that, you know, when we set these targets, we're really, you know, like I said, we're really enthusiastic right at the beginning, and then it's this.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, it's like when you start to ask. I mean, when things don't show up like you think they will. I mean, actually, one of the greatest things for me is constantly reminding myself that nothing shows up like I think it's going to. And if you actually start creation that way, it's like whatever it is that you're creating, it's like, go into it knowing that.
Yeah.
Because that will minimize the frustration and the disappointment like a millionfold. Because you're just like, cool, this is an adventure of creation. I wonder what this is going to be. I wonder how it's going to show up. I wonder, you know. And then it's just like, you don't have expectations, you know. And so the other thing is also just destroying and uncreating your projections, expectations, rejections, separations, and judgments about everything that you're creating, everything that you're asking for, how it's going to be, what it's going to be, how it's going to show up, all of that stuff. So everything that is for all of us for this coming year and beyond, and what it is that you would like to create, can we all destroy and uncreate that?
Yes. Right,
wrong, good, bad, all night, POC, POD, shorts, boys and beyonds. And if you really go into it, like, the adventure of creation is about the unknown. Really, it is about being like, hey, universe, like, what's possible here? What can I create that is beyond, you know? And it's like, then we just get to play. We just get to play with the universe, which is actually one of my big targets for the year is play.
Me too.
Fun. You know, it's like, yeah. So anyway, I won't digress on that at the moment, but and then, like, it'll create a lot of space around what it is that you're creating. If you don't go in with the expectation, and you actually, like, just go in with the expectation that it's not going to show up like you think it will.
Yeah, with expecting to be surprised. To be like, yeah, I wonder how it's going to surprise me today.
Yeah. And then if you hit those little bumps along the way, it's like, I mean, what if, and this really goes back to receiving, it's like, what if everything is a contribution to what you're creating? Everything. And if you're functioning from the space of it doesn't show up like you think it's going to, then what it is that you create, like what everything that shows up along the way, you can just be like, oh, cool, the universe is contributing to me, you know, the universe is contributing to my creative process and to this creation unfolding in magical ways that I couldn't even imagine. And I think asking for the types of targets, or even just sort of the way that you phrase your questions, it's like, if you're willing to get to be that space of like, because whenever I ask a question, I'm always like, beyond what I can imagine. I always sort of add that on at the end or something like that. Because I get that the universe knows way more about all of this than I do. And
Yeah,
it always will.
it always yeah, and Gary really talks about how your imagination is actually the limitation of you and not the
Yes.
possibilities of you. So
Yes.
yeah, going beyond what I can even imagine, because I can imagine big, but I imagine in pictures and conclusions and decisions, and I don't necessarily imagine in possibilities. I perceive possibilities.
Yeah.
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 So
Totally. And it's like then it's a playground,
totally.
it's just a playground of energy and creation, and it's like, oh, and then there's this, and then there's this, and oh, look at this totally unexpected energy that just showed up. Cool. What would I like to create with that? And then you're just in it. You're in this dynamic unfolding of creation that is so much easier than trying to force the river. And you get to be, I mean, yeah, there's making demands, and there's asking questions and playing with targets, and then just this space of like, cool, now show me. And how much, I mean, what would it take for everybody, for all of us who choose to have so much more receiving?
Yeah.
Even if you feel like you have a lot of receiving, it's like there's always more. It's always just the tip of the iceberg. And how much more receiving and how much more ease are you willing to have? And that's one of my targets too for this year. It's like, you know, I got, like, when I was watching that movie yesterday, and I was in this place and there was all this like religion, and like it was just intense.
Yeah.
Lots of points of view flying around. And then I just sat and I just received from nature. And in this 15-minute period of time, my whole reality was changed. And it was like, right, like that actually, like, even if I'm not looking at the images of this beautiful scenery, like it still exists. And I can actually tap into it anytime. I can tap into the energy of the molecules of the universe and the planet and the trees and the earth and the water and the animals and the birds and the waterfalls, and I can tap into that and I can receive from that at any time if I just ask. And there is just so much more ease with creation if we allow everything that actually wants to contribute to us to contribute to us.
Yeah. I'm just yeah. I've got this question pinging in my head, so I'm sure there's people asking because I mean, we talk about this reality and our reality, and for those of you who aren't really familiar with that, this reality is like, is all about creating something that's solid, all about creating something that's real and tangible and defined and, goals and all of that. Our reality is about being the space, the energy, and the consciousness that can receive from all of the energy and the space and the consciousness that everything truly bees. And so, like, when it comes to writing down your targets or making your targets solid and real, is that even relevant in this space that we actually be?
Right.
And what can we do to support this different way of being? Because it's a different way of being. It isn't even a different way of doing. It kind of results in different doings, but it's just a different way of being and
Yeah.
choosing and creating. So what is that? What is that? What can we do to support that? To like, yeah, what do you do?
Well, this is actually really bringing me to the awareness of like what came through for me yesterday, which was this really vulnerable space for me of like, okay, I've created just some amazing things in my life, you know, and the past couple years, particularly working with these tools and really being willing to choose the impossible, you know, and to choose to create the impossible. It's been really phenomenal to see what's shown up, you know, and what I have created, and then that whole like, and there's always more. And so what I became present to was this incredible space of like, it felt like my world just like constantly squeezing in on me. And I was like, what is that? Like, I know I'm the creator of my life. I know I create everything. So what is this energy that I'm aware of a lot of the time, actually, that I'm now starting to acknowledge that I'm aware of? And it was, as I started to look at it, I was like, holy shit, I actually am not nearly as, I don't include myself in the equation of my day and my life nearly as much as I thought. And it was this big like, whoa, you know, kind of like, okay. And what was so cool about it is, you know, I was feeling stressed, and I'm like family vacation, and I'm in this really touristy part of Hawaii, so there's like people, like a lot of unconsciousness and just like people everywhere, and then I'm in this beautiful paradise, and so it's been all these different energies. And you know, I got it that a lot of it wasn't even totally mine, but then there was the sense of like, okay, like almost the sense of like, God, every day I sort of get to the end of the day and I'm like, where was my me time? I didn't have any. And I started to look and go like, well, I might get, like, I look at my calendar, you know, and how I've created my life and my schedule, which is really, really full. And it's like, well, the me time, the next me time that I could create is in April. And I was just like, that's not going to work for me. And in the past, I've been so, I don't know. I just, you know, Dane made this video yesterday about like creating what works for you, you know, working with whatever is and creating what works for you on his tour of consciousness stuff. And I was like, I'm actually really good at that. Like, I'm actually really good at just being like, I'm always creating what works for me to a degree. And then there's this whole other piece of like, where am I in the equation of my life? And what I started to see yesterday was, holy shit, like my whole, like every day is about somebody else. You know, it's like I've got my kids, I've got my partner, I've got my business, I've got my clients and the people that I work with and people that are emailing me and Facebooking me, you know, and it's just like, and then my day goes by and I'm like, oh. So that was actually one of the big things that I that I got to yesterday was, wow, like what actually, like, and that ties into the whole like joy and fun and play thing. It was like an intimacy with me, which is you've been talking about too. Is like, well, what would it be like if I actually really was actually included in the equation of my life in a way that I haven't been willing to choose before, and actually like really sort of looked at all of my choices and made my choices from the awareness of me, you know, which is, we talk about the kingdom of we. And the kingdom of we is the invitation for the kingdom of we is actually to be functioning from looking at everybody, you know, all of us, communion with everybody and all things. And most of us have a lot of ease with other people when it comes to that, but not including ourselves in the equation of the kingdom of we. Yeah. And so it's like, so that's one of the things that I'm really demanding that I step into this year is, you know, me being like front and center in a way that actually has me feeling nourished and fed and joyful and playful and not putting everybody else first, and then all of a sudden the day's gone and I'm like, I gotta go to sleep and get up and do it again tomorrow, you know.
Yeah. And my last few days has been another huge massive set of getting present to stuff as well. I had a conversation with my mom, and what a gift. Because like it's been, you know, most of my life of trying to overcome what I thought was a problem. And long story short, I really got through that conversation and like listening to Dane's ESC, I started to become really present to the fact that I don't even think that I've really chosen to fully be grateful for being on the planet. And I don't have kids, and you know, I'm traveling around and I'm kind of unfettered right now, and so my time is my own, and yet my whole reality, my whole body, all the ways in which I choose to spend my time and the lack of fun that I'm willing to have has been centered around holding this insanity in place, you know, so that it doesn't hurt anybody else in the form of my mother, but also really, I think, not acknowledging that at one point I chose not to be present on the planet, and I'd never chosen anything different. So my body's tired, and you know, and so I look at what I've created just in this last 4 to 6 months, you know, and it's like it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal, and it's fast and amazing. And now I'm looking at this piece, and it's like, wow, what if I actually chose to be present here?
Yeah.
You know, what if every part of my body was like, yeah, it's not only okay to be on the planet, but we really want to be here, and what can we create now? Like, what could we actually create? What could I actually create now? And
Yeah.
I really get that there's a lot of people that didn't want to be here at one point, you know, where things got so hard that it was like, what are we doing here? This is a joke.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at like, what if I actually did choose to be here, and not just to survive it, like not even just to survive it with the rah shish boom ba tools of like ease, joy, and glory as they could be used, but what if I actually came here because I knew something, and because it was actually not only okay to be on the planet, but because my presence was a contribution to the planet. Like, what if that was actually true? What could I actually create? What could we actually create as an energetic body of people that are aware of our gift and our magic and what's actually possible for the world and the planet? So I'm making that demand.
Thank you.
Just a little one.
Yeah, just a little one.
But
Yeah.
I mean, so much, you know, so much of life has felt really, really hard. And I get that because it's felt hard, I've perpetuated it feeling hard, because hard has become familiar. And I've created it to be hard, to feel like I'm accomplishing something. And even when it's not hard, it's got to be hard. And I'm like, what would it take for that to change right now?
Yeah. It's funny because for me, my life has actually been pretty darn easy, but I've made it hard to fit in. You know,
Oh, yeah, shit.
be part of the masses. It's like, oh yeah, I'm struggling. I'm a struggling single mom. I'm a struggling whatever.
Yeah.
Hard and la 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 la. You know.
Yeah.
And it's like I haven't been willing to be the difference of ease, you know, that I know that I be, that it's available
Totally.
available to all of us. And it brings me to this amazing question that has come out in Access recently, which is, what choice is available to you, all of you guys listening, that's not available to anybody else?
Yeah.
And it's like, now's the time. I mean, you know, being in this, I mean, literally where I was last night, it was this gigantic room of like total unconsciousness and what Gary Douglas calls somnambulance. It's like the sleepwalkers, right? It's just like everybody's sleepwalking, you know, and we all do it to some degree. And in this reality, it's part of what's required, so that you don't wake up to your potency and change the world, you know,
Yeah.
and be the ability that you be. And it was like this huge room full of people. that were just like, we're at a luau in Hawaii on New Year's Eve, and my son was crying, and I was like, he's like, I'm so sad. He's like, because they paraded the dead pig on stage. This whole thing, great practice for allowance. And my son was crying about it, and I was like, hey, like, I wonder if you're actually aware of the unhappiness of everybody in the room, And he was like, oh, it changed a lot for him. But just looking around and being aware of that, and being aware of how much I didn't want to be aware of it, and just looking and going like, God, if this was a room full of this many people talking about consciousness, it would be like we would all be celebrating it as like this amazing miracle, right? I don't even know how many people. It was like a production,
Yeah.
And it was like, but this is a room full of people that are asleep, and people think this is just like what you do, And I was like, so why is it that this is okay, that this is what we do in this reality, but that if we were all talking about consciousness in this room, that it would be like a miraculous event, And I was like, God damn it, it's fucking time to change that. Like, I don't want to be, I mean, as much as possible, it's like, and that's part of me choosing for me is like, I'm not interested in that. Not that I was sort of a thing that I just needed to be there for, because I was with my family, but I mean, and I chose it, but it's like, it's time. It is time there is so much changing right now on the planet. There is so much changing for consciousness, and we can see it for those of you who are connected to Access Consciousness. It's like, and whether you're connected or not, but it's like, we can see in Access how it's evolving so rapidly and so dynamically, and we're just like getting rid of all this stuff that has been running the collective consciousness or unconsciousness, right, for so long. And it's like we're at a turning point. And to me, I'm like, that's what this new year represents, and every year. But it's like right now, it's a critical time in the evolution of our planet, and if we want to stay here and be here, and we want the planet to thrive, and we want to thrive, we have to change. We have to create more, and it's like, my point of view is that stepping into you and what you know and what you can choose that nobody else can choose, and what you can create that nobody else can create, and having the joy and the fun and the intimacy and the play and the delight and the communion with the molecules of the universe. It's like, what if that's actually what's going to create that? What if it's not about struggling and working and toiling and angsting and solving problems, but what if it's about being like, you know what, I'm going to be joyful even though nobody else is willing to be joyful?
It's so crazy because, like, I love Seattle. It's such a beautiful place, but I've been walking around and I have this white winter coat and these really bright scarves and a bright green jacket, and when I'm not wearing my white one, I have this royal blue coat, so I'm like royal blue, red, green, and I walk into Starbucks and literally, like, it's 98% black and gray, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there this morning, and there's this little 2-year-old there was this little table, low table for kids. And I hadn't seen his parents yet, but this little 2-year-old just, like, ran up to this table, like his limbs were flailing. He was so excited to see a table his size. And he just looked at me and he just grinned. And everybody in that room started looking at him. And the whole energy started to shift. And I was like, oh.
That. And you're allowed to do that when you're 2, but not when you're 42.
But not when you're 40. And it doesn't matter how bright your colors are wearing, you're just weird.
Yeah.
But it's like, what would it take to change that? And I get that it's just me choosing to be me, which then inspires you to be you, which then inspires you to be you, and you to be you, and you to be you. And it's like, what if we could actually make our targets so much greater than we've been willing to receive or acknowledge?
Yeah.
It would allow us to create the change that the planet actually requires, beyond beyond having a six-figure big business, although I'll have that, beyond having piles of cash, although I'll have that, I love that, beyond having a successful relationship, yes, I'll have that, and what else? What is the future that is so big, that is so much greater than anything you can imagine, that you could choose and step into and be right now with everything that you're creating, that would be the gift that the planet requires right now? Right now.
Yeah. And everything that doesn't allow all of us to be, know, perceive, receive, and choose that, can we destroy, know, and create it?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, all name, puck, pod, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Yeah, and that really goes back to, like, what is that choice? Like, or what are those choices that are your choices to make, that are based on what you know that nobody else knows, that if you were willing to choose them, would change everything, because they're your choices and they're available to you, but they may not be available to anybody else. And it's like, if we were all willing to do that, if we were all willing to choose with that much courage and willingness and abandon and, like, I'm just going, you know, like, oh, what would it change? Like, I was watching, my kids were playing in the waves the other day, and they've never really been in big waves. And, you know, here we are in Hawaii, there's a lot of surf in Hawaii, right? And it was their first time in big, big waves in the ocean, like to the degree where, had the waves been any bigger, they wouldn't have been able to swim in the, like, I wouldn't have let them go in, you know. And I was like, okay, guys, like, here we go. You guys are going to learn about how to swim in the ocean, you know. And it was so funny because they're so, like, my little guy Jaden, he is just like Avery is like assessing, and, you know, and then he learns really quickly how to, like, dive under and with the perfect timing and everything. And Jaden's like, you know. and I just kept watching. For their heads to pop up, you know. They would just taken down and tossed, and then they'd be like, and they'd come up and they'd be like, I got sand in my eyes, and I just face planted into the, you know. And it was just this, like, total abandon, and like, I'm doing this, and Jaden's like, and then he gets to the point where he goes, I'm bored and I need bigger waves now, you know? So it's like, what if we can choose like that energy and that much, like, just total ferocity for life? What if we could choose like that? Would you be? Yeah. And the thing, you know, that really, like, that I'm so grateful for is for people like you, Christel, in my life, and the people that are tapping in and watching here. It's like, the people that are choosing a different possibility and stepping into a different possibility and creating a different possibility and making radical choices that don't make sense, that you don't know how they're going to come to fruition. It's like people that are in this conversation and that are like, let's do this. Like, it's our time. Let's do this. Like, it's do or die. It's choose or die. It's create or die. Let's go, right? And there's something about having a posse that's not definable or defined, but just knowing that there's other people that have my back, that I'm creating alongside of, that I can tap into at any time, that are supporting me, that are contributing to me, that is just so valuable, and I'm so grateful for. And I mean, I know, Christel, like, since we've been working together and playing together, it's like my business has just exploded, and what I'm willing to choose and step into and create has totally changed, and you're such an invitation to me, and I'm so grateful for you and everybody else out there who is that in some way. Thank you for choosing and being willing to swim upstream, you know. And
yeah, and thank you. Like, this is the adventure of my life right now. There's, you know, everything that we've created in our friendship and in the circle that we have around us, and I don't know, and it's the posse. I am going back to that because, like, the business pods that we created, when we were looking, you've been looking at it for a while. Well, I got involved on the tail end of that and got to help bring it into, you know, actualization. And, you know, when I was looking at them, I was like, yeah, that's really cool, and I'll just pop in on the phone calls once in a while. And my business was like, we want to be in on that. So I was like, okay, so we're choosing that, we're having that, and I could perceive the possibilities when I chose it, but I'd never chosen to be a part of a group of people that were kind of heading in the same general direction. You know, like I mean, access classes, yes, and that it's like this really broad direction, but this was like a really intimate group of people. Like, I mean, the pods are set up to where it's like 4 people and then bigger group, and so it was a little bit scary, for lack of a better incorrect word, because of the intimacy, but also because of the accountability that would be required from me to keep choosing and to keep creating. And I really got that my business required that level of support and accountability. And it's not even like we hold each other accountable. There's like none of that. Yeah. But I find that because I have calls scheduled and all of that, I'm always looking at what questions do I have? Yeah. What choices can I be making? What am I creating? How can I out-create myself? It's creating that for me, which is a massive contribution to my life and business and reality and everything. Yeah. And to have those calls, like to be on them and to be in that group of people who are doing the same thing, and to have you there who present to facilitate whatever's coming up, because there's been some really big stuff that's come up for me that had I not had that as a support system, like it might not have come up. You know, the whole thing might not have come up, because I find that it's the stuff, it's as I'm creating, it's as I'm following the energy, it's as I'm in the pursuit of and being the target that the stuff comes up. And so I have so much value for that now. And, you know, I'm looking at the conversations that you and I have had about, you know, this year of you, this year of me, like, you know, intimacy with me and creation with me and diving into every facet of my life that is me, that I get to create now. I don't have to be at the effect of anymore. I actually get to create it. And I'm just so thankful that I've got you and these other beautiful women and people not only at my kind of surrounding me. It's like this, you know, spherical, beautiful support where, you know, we get to cry and laugh and be and Skype and wine and whatever it is, you know, ask questions and, you know, just be for each other.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is so really incredible to see what's been created in these business pods with just people who are like, yes, I really, really, really would like to have those, like the generative and creative conversation of creation, and this is particular to business, you know, as a daily thing, you know, and to have people around that are part of that conversation that like have actually said, like, I'm ready to get uncomfortable, I'm willing to make a commitment here, and I would like to create something totally different with my business so that it actually becomes what I know that it can become. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with the Year of You, it is a program that Christel and I have created that is for women, and it's a year-long journey. Basically, it's a tribe of women creating the impossible. And so for those of you out there, women, sorry guys, but we'll do something that you can jump into at some point.
For sure.
Yeah, we adore you. And there's something that I know Christel and I both just love about being, you know, in a conversation with other women. That's really for women who are ready, who are like on the verge and just ready to in every area of your life. So what this program is it's a year-long tribe that we are creating and forming that is going to basically delve into every kind of, you know, area of life, parenting and bodies and family and business and money and creation and receiving and relationships, you know, all of those places where Christel and I have both been playing and creating full on, and it's basically a tribe for you to be part of, to have support and conversations and you know, creation points around these different areas of life. There's going to be monthly group calls with the both of us facilitating together. And there's going to be little pods, like similar to how we've done it with the business pods, but these will be pods of 5 women. So you'll be connected with 4 other women for the whole year. That'll be like your smaller tribe and then the bigger tribe. And the 5 of you will get on a call with either Christel or I every month. So you'll have a pod call every month. And then the other thing that has been huge, huge support for me in creating everything that I've created is private sessions. I am a huge fan of private work, and I've done private sessions with Gary Douglas and Simone Milasas and Shannon O'Hara and lots of different access facilitators and therapists over the years, and it's actually been like the thing where I just have loved that real intimate, personal, one-on-one dialogue of what I'm creating and what I could be stepping into more, and it's been a huge piece of what's contributed to me choosing more and creating more in my life. So every month you'll get a half-hour private session with me and a half-hour private session with Christel.
Yes.
So basically it's a weekly dialogue around the creation of your life and stepping into choosing for you in ways that you never have before, putting you front and center in your life, functioning and choosing from the kingdom of we, and creating in all areas of life beyond what you've ever imagined possible with a tribe of women who are doing the same.
I'm so excited about this.
Me too. I'm getting
so what we're going to do is we're going to have, it launches January 15th. Prior to that, on January 7th, we're going to have a telecall that's going to be open for questions. Any question about the program, about how it works, about what it is, about what the pods are, the group calls are, about whatever it is. We're going to have a telecall on January 7th. And so you're invited to that. And, you know, what would this create? What would having a tribe of women at your back create for your life in 5 years, in 50 years, in 100 years? And what would choosing for you, like choosing you, the majesty of you, the beauty of you, the magic of you, the energy, the space, and the consciousness of beautiful you, what would choosing that create for you and for the planet and for us? And seriously, how much fun can we have doing it?
Gosh, yes! Our target is part of this. I mean, I was saying to Christel today, it's like the year of you has totally started for me. And this
oh my
is
God, me too.
what I love about creating things in my business is that all of my creations totally facilitate me.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, the year of me. Okay, well, let's go. I didn't even know I was going to be one of the participants, but of course I am, because that's how it works. So I'm really blown away by what's showing up already, just from creating this and being willing to bring it to fruition and playing with Christel and in this conversation. It's already changed my life and my reality, and it hasn't even started yet.
Me too.
So there is a page on my website. We've had our programmer working on it, I think, while we were talking here. So I think it's live. I'm not positive, but if it's not now, it will be soon. It's heathernichols.com/year of you. Just year of you, no dashes or anything. And we'll post that link in the Facebook group. And for those of you who are on the list for this hangout, we'll send that out to you as well. And you can get more information. There's a video that we made there, and there's a join button there if you want to join the tribe. You can definitely be part of the free call that we're doing next week. And if you know that you're ready and you want to jump in, that's available too, and it'll just start creating more for you. I mean, just the same way that my life is already changing from this. That's what happens when I choose a class. It's like the minute I sign up, the class starts facilitating me.
Oh my gosh, life starts changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, you can let us know. You can find us on Facebook. My email is heather@heathernichols.com.
And I'm Christel@heathernichols.com or accesschristel@gmail.com.
Yeah, so feel free to get in touch. We'll have our call next week, and heathernichols.com/year of you. We would love to play with you and have you be part of this amazing tribe. And I'm just like, I'm so aware of what this is going to create for the world. Um, the Dalai Lama saying that Western women are really what's going to change the planet. And it's, it's time. It's time for us to have the joy and the ease and the receiving and the connection and the play and the delight and the abundance and the like beauty and joy with our bodies and with our families and relationships, like all of it. I'm saying game on for
Bring
all of
it. Bring it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Thank
So
you.
thank you all so much. We adore you. We're so grateful that you joined us today, and we wish you just the most phenomenal day, year, night, wherever you are. And 2015, may it be an unrecognized, at the end of this year, may your life be unrecognizably phenomenal if that's what you choose. And we would love to play with you and just, see you around the world too.
Can't wait to see you around the world.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. So much
Bye.
gratitude. Have a great day.
See you later.